Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to the Tavern. How we doing this evening?
Happy
Cheers,
Monday.
Cheers.
Happy Monday. Pretty excited. I see our guest is already in the green room here tonight. Gonna be a fun one. Our guest is pretty crazy. So I'm pretty excited about that tonight. So
Might be one of our earliest guests.
It might be. So how was everybody's weekend?
Pretty good. I played some golf this weekend. Played shot pretty
too.
well this weekend. You and I shot about the same thing.
I did too.
I did not. Yeah.
I did too. I won. I won the championship flight, so that was fun.
Of your own tournament.
Hey, listen, Tiger wins his own. I can win mine. It's cool.
That's true. Jack's won his.
Yeah, Arnold's won his. Like, let's just call it.
If you sponsor it, you gotta at least win it once.
Right,
so.
Exactly. I'll be honest. I played like dog poop on the front, shot 42 on the front, made 7 bogeys on the front 9, and then decided to go to the back and shoot 37. That worked out all right for me.
See, at mine, I did the opposite. I shot a 39 on the front, and then was 1 under through 5 on the back, and then blew up and shot a 40.
And blew up. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Hey,
just in case anybody wants to know, if you're watching, if you're scoring at home or if you're by yourself, it's 6-2 LSU in the Florida game.
Hey, I'd at least like to say my score this week lowered my handicap. So
I didn't post mine in my handicap. We'll just leave it at that.
I need to post all that I can.
I shot under 80, and my handicap went up 3 points.
Yeah. Mine would have dropped mine, and I don't need that with member guests coming up. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
In case anyone's seen Club, in case anyone has seen Club Pro Guy's new video, he said that if you're looking at one of the things, if you're looking to invite somebody to the member guest and they have a USGA handicap, you do not invite them. And I am on the list to be invited. So we'll leave it at that.
I like the one he did one time. He goes, okay, so your partner has hit a shot onto the green. What do you do here? All right. Option A, you hit a shot right on the green better than his because your handicap's lower. Option B, shank it into the woods so your handicap goes up.
B.
Option B.
Well, considering I would be option B, then I'm not
Bradley,
worried about it.
That's right.
Yeah. Listen, I ain't got time for that, Bradley. It's member guest. Yep. Everybody sandbags. It should be the call of the sandbag.
Don't get him started on sandbagging. That's a hot button topic right there. Had some good golf by the pros this weekend.
Man, taking it deep this weekend. I mean,
Steve, you won a birdie fest. You got your wish this week.
And you know what? Here, here's my take on this. When you look at what happened coming off the U.S. Open, I don't mind a birdie fest coming off the U.S. Open. We had a 6,900-yard golf course playing at a par 70 that literally gives the par 5s out there are all risk reward. All the players can get home in 2. It's a good time, and you peg it up and you say, let's go. And
because I don't think anybody had Keegan Bradley on their let's win one on their bingo card this year.
No, you know what? I did. I will say this. I thought Keegan should get a win this year. He's been playing some really good golf. He went to the putter, formerly known as Ricky Fowler, the only one carrying the putter. Now everybody's going to carry the putter. The jailbird. As we have
is so backed up on him right now.
As we have a putting guy that's going to be joining us tonight, maybe we can talk to him about making a jailbird too.
Hold on. Here's the putter cover that they need. They need the jailbird get out of jail Uncle Joey cake from Back to the Future. Like that needs to be a putter cover for the jailbird putter. I'm just saying. There.
So, Eric, here's the thing on this, and I will say this. Hartford notoriously has been great to the players. Like the wives and girlfriends this week got $300 gift cards to some swanky shop at the mall. Like they treat the players great. All the players like going there because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did Hartford because they know the players over the years. And you're coming off the following week of the U.S. Open, it was kind of like Harbortown, where you take Harbortown and you make it an elevated event the week after the Masters, so you can keep these guys playing. And a lot of them wouldn't have flown back across country to play Hartford if not. So, when you look at it, you say, hey, let's do this. I actually don't mind it being an elevated event. I do think it's one of the elevated events that they need to look at, much like Harbortown, where you're going to look at possibly rotating them every year. Unlike Bay Hill, that I think is
at least Harbortown and Augusta are drivable. The U.S. Open, at least being, rotating back and forth, everything. This was a tough one to have as an elevated event because, you're paying, the Travelers was paying, charter flights to get all the pros out there, everything else. If the U.S. Open was, say, at Bethpage and then going to, Travelers for an elevated event, that I can understand. But having the U.S. Open all the way out at LACC and then getting all these guys all the way back, that's a tough ask.
Well, I think that the main thing, and Steve, you hit on it here, with these elevated events this year, since this is kind of a new thing that they're really pushing in that direction, I think they were picking events, that were right after the majors to give them popularity, but they were also picking events that were very popular by the players because of their families, because of the way they are. That's how Harbortown is. The players love Harbortown just because of the environment. The players love the Travelers because of the family environment. And I think that's part of the reason they made them elevated this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Keegan, even Keegan had said that this was one of the few times he gets to play in front of his family. And that really helped him, all the way through. And, we'll get into that family piece a little bit later, but there's a lot to be said about, playing in front of your family and having them there without them having to travel much.
Yeah, and that's the part that when you take their families into this, because these guys travel all year long, and unless you're Tony Finau or now you're what is it, JT has a RV that he takes his family around in, like unless you're doing that with like a young family or you can do that with your family, you're away from your family for a lot of the season. So when you can have these events that focus on your family, of course they're going to want to be there.
Yeah.
So with this, I mean, and Eric, you were talking about the scores on here. This was a birdie fest. This was not set up as a hard golf course.
They had
22
players at 199 and under through 3 rounds.
What old tournament does this remind you of? In Florida.
Disney.
Yeah. This
Birdie
reminded
Fest.
me.
Birdie Fest.
That was 23 under. That was winners were in the like a crazy.
Heck, my guy was under par and missed the cut.
I know.
Well, but again, you had a soft golf course, and tour players, when they get on soft golf courses, will just turn it into a birdie fest to begin with. Like the U.S. Open is firm and fast. That's where they get away with a lot of these things. The Travelers being 6,900 yards and soft, it doesn't make that golf course overly long for the players either at that point. So they're going to go ahead and just fire at flag sticks and have some fun with it. Make as many birdies as they can.
And to be honest, like I said, I like the lower scores. I like the tougher challenge. I like watching that. But when everyone is playing this well, it made it interesting to watch on Sunday.
Right.
It made it interesting that like Keegan had a chance to break the 4-round record or tie it at least, but he bogeyed his way into the final into the win.
Well, here's the thing: 24 under, 22 under. It's the same as watching somebody go, +1, +2, even par in a U.S. Open, where we're used to, those scores at a U.S. Open where you're playing, just to make par and not to lose. Here you're playing to make birdies and,
go out and
not to lose.
Yeah.
Let's ask one question though. We talk about 24 under winning, right?
23 under.
23 under, whatever it was. Okay, what did Tiger got to 18 under at the Masters one year? Jordan Spieth got it to 20 at one point and fell back a little bit. What did DJ won at like 23 or 24 under when they did the November one? Like that was a birdie fest too. So like when you talk about, there's going to be weeks that these guys are just going to take it deep, and it's just all that you just have to deal with it. Like,
but here's the other difference though. When Tiger and them did it in like the majors, it was just them. When Rory ran away with it at Congressional, it was just Rory and the rest of the field. This is everyone out there. When everyone is making a birdie fest, like you have to understand this was an easier course, an easier track. Like unless you're gonna grow in the rough, dry out the greens, this is what you're gonna get on a course like this. Like, especially at 6,900 yards. I mean,
and if you don't make birdie, you lose.
If you're playing a course that's under 7,000 yards, pretty much anyone who plays the whites and back can shoot a decent score on that course. I'm not saying like this, but the pros are going to tear it up. Yeah, right. Exactly. Like the pros are going to tear up a 6,900 yard course that doesn't have a lot of like. It has risk reward, but to be honest with that, for most of them, if they hit a 3-wood instead of a driver, they still have a wedge in on most of these holes.
Right.
So,
and we'll get into We'll get into all that later on because Rory had some comments. We're going to discuss that in the last call. So let's talk about that later.
But congratulations kudos to Keegan.
And congratulations, and I'm going to say this, congratulations to the tournament committee at the Travelers for when they gave Keegan his trophy, they brought out 2 little ones for his kids. Like, can we talk about as golfing dads? Like, that was a cool little moment there. Kudos to the Travelers team for that, because that's really what, again, another kudos into the cap of the Travelers committee of doing something cool like that.
Here's the funny thing. When I saw the trophy for the Travelers, I went, that seems like an old school generic like club championship trophy.
Here's your participation award.
Well, almost. That's what it seemed like. You won. Like it seemed like Keegan won his flight this week, but then that all changed when they brought out the trophies. Exactly. When they brought out the trophies for his kids, and then his kids were kissing it and trying to drink out of it. Like that made it made that trophy so much
cooler,
better.
Yeah.
Like that was the cool thing about that. But I will say it was a good tournament. It was a birdie fest. Eric, I kind of do agree with you. I want to see the elevated events to be a little bit tougher. I want to see the non-elevated events kind of like this, like let people like when you get to the tougher and more elevated events, it should be a tougher test. This course was not a tough test. It was just a test of who can hit the most birdies.
Yes.
So,
but speaking of a wet golf course, did you guys see what happened on Sunday in Detroit? Did you see the video of that today?
Yes,
I don't have it because the only video that I have was from the PGA Tour, and I didn't want to show that because
we know how they feel.
Yeah, we know how they feel about
the tree that came down and everything.
Trees. It looked worse than Augusta this year. Fortunately, there weren't any spectators out there.
Can we just say Mother Nature does not want Detroit to have this tournament next week?
No, they don't. Well, Mother Nature and then the stupid vandals that destroyed greens. That's a whole nother story. But I think that this week
that would happen to somewhere like Cleveland. Not Detroit, like Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah,
it's RoboCop's Detroit. It just is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but no, I think that I think this is still going to be a good event. There's still some pretty good players in the field this week.
Well,
obviously Ricky's. Let's talk about it. I mean, Ricky's back in the field this week.
You know what time it is?
You've got. You know what I feel like we need to change that music to, just really quickly, is maybe we need the Pink Panther music with that for Dave.
I can't get the Pink Panther music. That's
I know you can't. But
I actually wanted like the Ocean's 11 music or something like that. I thought would be pretty good.
Yeah. This is my segment here. Don't steal my thunder.
Okay, hey, wait a minute. Dave lives in Iowa.
Steve's got his own intro.
Just in case anybody wants to know, Dave lives in Iowa, and I'm pretty certain Dave filmed this video here really quickly.
I don't think the heavy stuff's been down for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right?
To be honest, that was the Midwest yesterday. Like we were under
Yes.
tornado watches out here and everything. It was
Yep.
luckily,
Yeah, we
I mean,
we didn't see that much. We were
avoided
driving
our
down
area.
to Des Moines yesterday, but yeah, it happens.
There was
I mean,
softball size hail here in
I
Indiana.
probably would have hit into it and made birdie on the wrong hole.
Hey, Eric, thanks for rubbing that in. Thanks. Played with Cheston Hadley today. Thanks.
So yeah, like Steve was saying, there's a pretty good field, here in Detroit at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Some of your normal ones aren't going to be there. Scotty's not there, Rory's not there, John Rahm's not there. But your top three right now, Tony Finau leading the pack at 12-1.
Okay.
Ricky Fowler, 14. Hideki at 16.
Hold on.
Hideki at 16?
Hideki at 16. And then that round, then there's a trio. There's a trio following that of Homa, JT, and Morikawa at 18-1.
18-1.
Keegan,
okay.
Last week's winner, comes in at 28. So,
okay,
there you got it. That's your top, kind of your top 10 right there for the Rocket Mortgage. And coming into this week, Steve takes over first place.
You didn't hold that for that
coming
long,
in
Dave.
at no, I did not. Let me bring this up here. I still have the money lead though, so that's okay.
We're not playing for the FedEx Cup or anything like that, so
no, not at all.
All right, Steve, you're on the clock.
Let's see. Steve
I am
now in the lead
with...
at 21.5, followed by me and then Greg.
Yeah, I had a fall from
I'm going to
grace.
take a flyer.
What you got this week, Steve?
I'm going to take a flyer this week. I'm going to go out and get Lim, the guy that plays usually pretty steady. And I think is due. And did you hear me?
Nope, lost you.
Yeah, I got you now.
No, we lost it. There's Dave.
Yep,
we lost Dave for a second.
Sun JM.
Sun JM. He was playing pretty good this weekend.
Sun JM at 20-1.
I'm taking. Okay.
Sun J.
Did you hear that, Sun JM?
Yep, we got you.
Sun JM, I got you.
All right.
Well, I'm kind of torn between.
Hey, Eric, you get the number of points for where your player finishes, and you're trying to have the least amount of points.
Yeah, it's the average over the
points
season of the place that you've picked.
Yeah, you finish. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of torn here. I want to take Ricky. I just don't know. My other choice is JT. He's finally starting to come back, but the last couple times I've taken JT, he's missed the cut.
Is he playing this week?
Justin Thomas at 18-1.
He is in there.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go Ricky this week.
Ooh, there we go. I kind of felt like there were too many external responsibilities being a Rocket Mortgage staffer. That's why I didn't go with him.
Yeah. But hey, so if somebody, you won your own tournament, maybe Ricky can win his.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
The Travelers last week, so it's the all insurance swing.
Yep.
So no one's going with Canada's second favorite son.
No,
Adam Hadwin.
Yep.
No one's. No,
I was gonna say,
what's his?
Is Adam Hadwin the first or the second? I'm trying to figure it out.
Second, because he didn't win, but he took one for the team. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, he did.
Well, speaking of one for the team, Sepp Straka, 45-1.
So okay, what's Hadwin at?
55.
55? Okay. So, let's see here. Is Finau the defending champion of the Rocket
Yes, he is.
Mortgage?
Yes,
So,
he
yeah.
is.
And I went with the defending champion last week, and that was okay for me.
Just go ahead and take it.
So, and he's been playing some good golf, but I don't want to jinx Finau because I really like Finau. Dave, you took Ricky.
Yep.
Homa screwed me at the U.S. Open, so he's dead to me.
Yep.
Literally. It's not that hard. There's 144 players. Pick one.
I know. You know what? Let's just go with him because I like him. I'm going to go Finau. I'll take Finau.
All right.
Hey, Dave, quick question. Where was Harris English this week? Because that was my other pick.
That was who I almost picked, but after I saw him at the Open, I feel he's been on a decline because he just the last Saturday and Sunday he was just so angry with the way he was playing at the Open. I think it messed with him.
Yeah. Harris is at 50-1.
Okay. Yep. That was my other pick this week. So, all right.
All right. Well, with that being said, we got our picks. I'd say it's time to take us to happy hour.
It's happy hour time. And for this happy hour, I'm really excited. This guy, not only does he make some really cool stuff, I get to call him a friend, and a really cool dude. And I'm excited to welcome Mr. Brad Converse, owner of Bradley Putters, to the Tavern. What's up, my brother?
Hey, just working on putters, and I joined early because I just wanted to watch the podcast anyway. So it was perfect.
You're working on putters.
You're working on putters and watching our podcast. I like it.
It's perfect. It's a beautiful, beautiful Monday night. No complaints here. Thanks for having me, boys.
Brad, we're glad to have you on
we're glad to have you. I got to ask the first question because we kind of hinted at it earlier on. Are you going to make a jailbreak putter?
No.
So you can get...
No, I mean, I get people ask me all the time if I'm going to make this putter or that putter. The only putters I ever make are ones that people commission. I don't make let's jump on that bandwagon or this bandwagon. I'm so many putters deep on ones where someone wants me to incorporate their dog's hair or something. I'm not just jumping on the latest trend. It'd be a lot cooler if I did probably, but no, I'm deep into stories, personal stories that you don't see any of my my latest putters on eBay or for sale. I don't have anything for sale on my website. It's all just stupidly custom stuff. So it's fun though.
Hey, custom stuff is our whole bag here at the Tavern. So
yes.
So Bradley, how and why did you start Bradley Putters?
I grew up loving golf, playing since middle school. And then I'm an engineer by trade, so I went to Oregon State and got my mechanical engineering degree. Worked for a military contracting company for 10 years. So designed a bunch of equipment to survive nukes and crazy stuff. They wanted me to move to Virginia, and I didn't want to do that because I'm just not a fan of anywhere really but West Coast. And so I was looking for something else to do. Got a business minor, so enough to kind of get myself in trouble. And I saw a wooden drum. Got the idea of what if I made putters out of wood. First ideas were terrible, but I pivoted pretty quick out of that. And the first putter feels like absolute trash. It looks kind of cool, but it doesn't look like anything else I've ever made. And then pivoted away from that pretty quick. And within 2 months of starting the company, I was at the PGA show in Orlando. I think that's when I met Steve. If not that, the next year. I'm pretty sure I met you that year. And golf.com said I had some of the coolest stuff there. They did a whole article on the coolest products at the PGA show, and I was the top of the list. So knew I was onto something special then, and just kind of been hustling ever since. Look at those beauties. Yeah, you got one of the OG.
One of the originals.
When I used to burn it in.
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun. Gone through a lot of iterations. My putters get better every week, and so looking back at ones from that long ago. Like they're great, awesome putters, but it's like I've done so many crazy things since then to take it like just to crazy levels. So seeing those ones, it's always fun, but the things I did on those versus what I can do now is some big leaps. That's for sure.
What made you choose putters over like anything else?
So I love, so living in Southern Oregon, one of my good friends has a burl wood store where I can like get cool wood. And I wanted to use that. Like my dad did woodworking when he was a kid, or not when I was a kid. And so I got to see a bunch of cool stuff. I have like scars on my body from dropping X-Acto knives on me when I was like 4 and stuff. Like I've always loved it. So I knew I wanted to use burl wood in some sort of business. Like I was playing with like making alarm clock things, and I'm an engineer, so I do a bunch of programming and tech stuff. And I was trying all these different routes, but then I really wanted to use burl wood in something. And burl wood only works well in putters. Like you can't make a driver out of it; it would just shatter into a million pieces. And so I stabilize it, and it works really well in putters. You can you use it every single hole, and then it holds a story better than any other club. Like when someone pulls out one of my putters, people ask questions about it. Like even I was at junior golf today, and my kids, have little Bradley wooden putters, and little 3 or 4 year old kids walking, and he's like, Grandma, look, look, and they're pointing at my son's bag. He's like, he has a wood putter. Like it's just, and his is as basic of a wood putter as it gets, and people still notice it and ask questions. So that's why I love putters. You can make really cool, beautiful things, and it's not it doesn't have to, like, they're high performance for a low ball speed. I don't have to make them survive like a Steve's 150 mile per hour swing.
Not even close to that, but
ball speed.
Listen,
150, yeah.
Hey, listen, we have a friend.
The zero off of there.
Brad and I have a good friend named Maurice that has that 150 mile an hour club head speed, but no, that's not my swing speed. I can tell you that. So,
yeah. Playing with Maurice on your foursome, that's fun. Done that before.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah, putting on par fours is great. Big fan.
Yeah.
So Brad, what's the process like from start to finish to make a putter, and how long does it normally take you?
Yeah, so process it always starts with a phone call. Usually about half hour, I'm on the phone with someone talking about their life, either making it for them or for as a gift. What stories do they want to talk about? So it's a lot of the time is spent just what design should we do in the first place, and then from there, either people will send me wood, or I'll just choose some of my really cool looking wood, and then I will stabilize the wood. So I dry it completely. I put it in an oven until it stops losing weight. I weigh it every day, and once it stops losing water weight, then I stabilize it, which puts it in a juice, vacuums it in, bakes it, makes it much harder, more durable. Once I've got that, then I have to open it up and add weights to it, or even before that, I'll add acrylic to it, because they've got to be performance putters. Like if they don't work, then they're just wall hangers, and that's not what I'm about. Like I want people to be telling stories out on the golf course with them. So once I've got the block made, then you open it up, add weights to it, glue it back together. The next day, shape it down, and then do a lot of engravings on them. So I do really complicated, crazy engravings lately. Like I just did one that's got like a cougar in a mountain scene and stuff. And then shaft it up and gloss it and ship it. So it's 1 to 2 months, sometimes longer if it's really crazy, sometimes rarely shorter if like someone really needs one for like a birthday or anniversary, next week. But I don't do those too often. For the most part, I mean, every little step takes time, and I've usually got a dozen or more putters in the works. I try not to do too long of a waiting list. I just saw a manufacturing guy does burls, products, and he had like a 2-year waiting list, and with inflation, he's just getting killed because it's something that he's supposed to be working on 2 years ago that he's just now getting to, and he charged like half as much. So I try and keep a really tight, just a tight number of putters that I'm working on. And so, yeah, it's usually about a dozen, usually takes under 2 months.
So just a quick follow. You said you're up in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a winemaker. I am very fond
Nice.
of things that come out of Oregon. Have you ever done anything with oak barrels?
So much.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've done wine where I've got like I stabilize it and then pour clear acrylic where there's red wine, like the stain is visible on top. I've got stabilized red wine barrels in there right now. I've done it with whiskey barrels. Those are fun too.
We'll talk.
I'm about to say you're speaking all of our language. Like,
yeah.
I put corks under acrylic. I put cork screws under acrylic. I've done putters like for wineries with their logo. I've done putters with like winery logo or winery like scenery on the bottom. There are very few ideas we could talk about that I haven't done a putter for somehow. I mean, I've done well over 1,000, and every single putter is very different from the last. So I don't do any lines of things. It's what story do you have to tell, and how can I? And a lot of times people ask for something that I've never done before, and I have no clue how to do it, but I know I can do it. Like all the problem solving I've done with the engineering, one of the first times I did that, I think it was like back in 2018, met a guy in Bermuda who asked if I could make a putter out of a chair. And I'm like, I guess, like, why would I make a putter out of a chair though? That doesn't make sense. Turns out he was a veteran who was part of the team that raided Saddam Hussein's palace. And so he smuggled a chair back from the palace. And so he had like fabric in the wood from that. He sent me that. And I'm looking at the fabric and there's like blood stains on it. I'm like, dude, like, what is that? It's like, oh no, that's actually Taco Bell sauce. Like I was using it as like a table. Right? I'm like, okay, good. Like, dude, I don't want to mess with blood here. And then it turned into a sick putter. So yeah, I mean, people come to me with all these crazy stories. I mean, every life is different. And so that's kind of what's fun about my putters is tell me your life story and I'll make a putter that brings those stories. You know, it's all about what begs a question. So when someone sees something like, oh, that's a wine barrel, like you must love wine, or what's your relation to wine? And then you're often talking about all the wine you ever made or where you learned to do that or what, the cool people you've met, that sort of thing.
Nice. So Brad, I'm gonna
one of a kind Saddam Hussein chair with Taco Bell sauce putter out there.
Right. There's actually two. So made the one for the veteran, and then one of my best clients is part of the royal family of Kuwait, and his dad like literally hates Saddam because like they tried to kill each other. And so I asked the veteran if I could, and he's like, yeah, that's awesome, definitely. So I made a second one and
awesome.
made it for the guy like part of the royal family of Kuwait. So that's where the second putter's at.
Nice.
So Brad, well, your tagline on Instagram says it's golf's finest heirlooms. And I'm going to go back to 2 questions ago where you said that because my wife thinks that your putters should be hanging up on the wall. That's what she jokes about your putters because she
belongs in a museum.
Nice. Yeah, right. What do you say to somebody that doesn't want to use your putter? Like they get it just to hang it on a wall and so that it looks cool.
So the coolest story I've done for that, like, I mean, if someone buys a putter for me, they can do whatever they want. I tell them, if you've got something hanging on your wall that you want to actually talk about, then turn it into a putter. Send me some part of it. And then when you're out on the golf course, you will actually get a chance to tell that story as opposed to hanging on your wall when no one ever really sees it. I made a putter for a guy who got to play Augusta. So I made a putter for three putters, one for him and then one for his friend and one for his friend's dad, who's a member at Augusta. And he took that putter, played it at Augusta, and now it's hanging on his wall, never to be hit again. So that's cool. Like, I'm cool with that.
I'm not mad at him for that.
No, that's special. You can get some other putter, and then that story can be brought up by, oh yeah, this is one Bradley. My cooler Bradley though is hanging on my wall, and here's the story for that. For me, it all comes down to stories. What if it's hanging on your wall? Are you going to tell more stories because of that, or fewer? And I want people to tell the story of whatever cool thing they did as much as possible. So take it out on the course. I mean, people shoot under par with my putters all the time. They win tournaments. If someone ever gets one and it doesn't putt well for them for whatever reason, then send it back and I'll tweak specs until it does. Like, I want them to actually use it and love it.
It's funny, the quote you said from Indiana Jones, the artifact he was chasing in that movie, is actually in the museum I work at.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
it's awesome. Not a real artifact, but it's a prop from the movie, and we have it in one of our exhibits.
That's even cooler.
At our museum.
And in 2 weeks, it's going to show up in your shop, and somebody's going to get a putter made out of it.
Hey, Brad, I don't know if you know Joe. He works for the media group out of Chicago. He wants one with some cigar labels. Now,
I've done a couple like that.
You've done, and I know we have another buddy, our buddy Jesse from Stogies and Bogies, that you did one with cigar leaves for him that he then used as a raffle prize for somebody, and it was a really cool looking cigar putter. So
yeah, I've done tobacco leaves. I've done like full cigars in them. I've done tobacco like cigar boxes, and like a really cool special one. I took like the bottom or the top of the cigar box and put that as the bottom of the putter with tobacco leaves on the top of it. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways. It comes down to ideally, what can you send me? Like, what cigar labels are you wanting to incorporate? Let's figure out a cool way of doing that. But it's always tricky. Like, I don't want my putters to look like a NASCAR vehicle. Like, I don't want just to slap everything on there. It has to be well thought through. Like, design something that is going to be beautiful first, and then take a question later. Like, you can always make something that begs a question, but it's like, ooh, why is that so ugly? Like, that's not a good question.
Hey, Eric commented,
would just be a whole bunch of sand in a putter.
Yeah, tobacco.
I've done that. Right? Yeah, seriously. Yeah, with like really steep sides to it, and
yeah,
exactly.
It'd be great. Haven't played that one yet, but man, I've seen videos.
Oh, it's
it's
fun
awesome
test of golf. Like,
yeah,
you're gonna get you're gonna go crazy playing that course, but you're gonna enjoy it. So I mean, so just like Tobacco Road kind of tells a story, like while you're playing it, like it tells a story of like the land and everything that's out there. Your putters tell a story for someone. Like, so how much, like you talked about the Saddam putter, which that's what I'm calling it right now. I've named it that.
Yeah, it is.
So, but how much of that, like, are you just creating out of memory from like what they tell you? Like, are you just getting a story from them and then you run with an idea? And then how does that process work about telling that story?
It's a whole lot of spitballing, a whole lot of bad ideas. So it's the phone call. Like, usually when someone calls me up, they've been following me for a while. They've been noodling on ideas. And then during the phone call, we, again, talk about like, what would you actually want to talk about? It's who are you playing with? Are you playing with the same 3 buddies every time, and you just want something that's really sentimental to you and you don't really care about who you're talking about things to? Or are you playing with new clients at scrambles every week and you want to talk about your business and you don't want to get too personal? We figure out, which direction do you want to go? Sorry, that's my, this is an active shop. So that's my compressor over there. So who are you playing with? What stories do you want to tell and why? How personal do you want to get? And then it's a lot of me throwing out ideas based on what I've done before. So I've done so many different putters. I mean, we could almost do like, based on like we could pretend to make a putter, like a mock putter now, but it takes a while. Like, it's going back and forth of, okay, you want to make something for your dad. Tell me about your dad. What do you love about your dad? Why do you, what makes your relationship special? What did you guys do together? Did you go fishing? Did you, just golf together? Did you go to a certain place together? Is there some quote that he always said? Is there, what do you want to talk about? And then from that, then it's, okay, what's your style? Are you flashy? Are you more reserved? Are you, would you want something really big and bold on the bottom, or something really subtle that like, it's so, like, it's an alignment line that like I did a putter for a guy who was a helicopter pilot. And so he didn't want something big and crazy, but he wanted a little nod to that. So the alignment line is like an Apache rotor blade. So it's a straight line, but there's just a little curve at the end. So it's how obvious do you want it to be? And then it's, I tell people every time, like, I'm going to throw out a bunch of ideas. Most of them will be bad, but we'll get to, like, you'll then think, oh, that's terrible, but what if he did this instead? And so a lot of times people are really bad at coming up with new ideas, but they're really good at making ideas better. And so my job is to throw out as many bad ideas as possible that then someone can be like, oh, what if we did this instead? Or, oh, you made me think of this that my dad did, or that, my college roommate did, and how could we incorporate this thing? So it's a lot of going back and forth until we come up with some great idea. And it's usually like about 10 minutes into the call, every time I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do here. And then I'm bouncing around. Okay, let's talk alignment. Let's talk bottom. And then it's the eureka moment of like, oh, what if we did this? And it's like, oh, that's perfect. And pretty much every phone call, it goes through those steps.
Nice. And how many guys go, hold on, let me go ask my wife. She knows better.
Sometimes, but I mean, a lot of times I do, like, I have multiple people on the phone at the same time, especially if I'm making one for like a 70th birthday or something. But I also do a lot of anniversary presents where the wife is coming up with ideas for her husband. And, you know, I'm trying to make it like, let's do something really cool. It's going to be special, but let's make it playable, like where it's not so obnoxious that he's not going to pull it out in front of his buddies because it has kissy hearts all over it or something, you know? Like, how can we make it epic?
Ooh, that's
and
Steve's
special?
new putter.
Right? Like, I don't want to make a putter that anyone, I mean, if they are, you know, ripping on someone for it being a wood putter, fine, whatever. But like, I want it to be just really freaking cool looking first. And so that's always the most important thing. Let's finish with something that I'm proud to send out the door and that they ideally will cry when they get it.
Well, I think the wood idea, like that you have with these wood putters, brings the heritage of golf back into it. Like, it's not something that a lot of people do anymore. Like, you don't see these, so it brings that classic heritage back into to golf and putting, which I think is an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, people shot crazy scores with hickory before. It's not, you don't need crazy wild tech. I mean, every now and then people, you know, get, you know, jailbreak putters, like some really relatively old putter, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, that's the one everyone has to have. But I mean, the thing about putting, the only thing you have to control is speed and direction. Like, that's it. So you're not trying to like fade it. You're not trying to draw it. You're not trying to add more spin, take spin off. Once you figure out how to get a consistent roll that goes the right, like the same distance every time and goes in the direction you want it to go, you can do that with anything. People are like, oh, well, you've got to have grooves. Like, if there's no grooves on a putter, it's worthless. I'm like, look up Tiger Woods putter. Like, that's just not true at all. Like, grooves do change the feel for certain putters, and that's great, but you don't need them.
Heck, drivers used to have grooves on them, and they don't anymore.
Right.
And if you as an engineer would understand this, if you ever looked at a close-up of Tiger Woods putter, there's a lot of chips and nicks and everything on the face of that thing. Like, it's pretty bad. Like,
well, you look at a ball, it's all dimpled and dinged up. I mean, there's not like a ball isn't like a ping pong ball. There's a bunch of dimples on that. So you don't people's ideas of what's important for a putter versus what's actually important for a putter are largely two very different things.
Yeah.
So might as well make something that you're just stoked to pull out every time and you think is the coolest thing ever. I mean, people play with the putter their dad gave them from the 70s, and it's a piece of junk, but they love it because it's special to them. I'm never going to be like, oh, well, you should get rid of that and get a Bradley. No, like, that's cool to you. Like, I can't make that many putters.
I have a buddy of mine who putts with a Billy Baru.
Love it.
Oh, Billy. Does he have the whole like purple sleeve for the whole shaft? And
Greg, you know who it is? It's Joe Smith, actually.
Oh.
Classic.
But you know, you have a shop in Grants Pass now, and you've created an experience just being there. And how cool is that?
It's awesome. I mean, I made it so nice that one of my buddies, he's pretty private dude, but he owns big business locally. And he's like, can I just rent it out? Like, that way you don't have to deal with it. So I've got like a TrackMan 4 simulator. I've got like poker tables, super nice. Like, it's man cave back there. But now I've got one guy that uses it like twice a month and covers my whole rent. So I'm like, yeah, go for it. But I've got like a sick shop here where like I come here every day. I've got a bunch of really relatively simple tools. I still have people come in and I can show them, like, I mean, I'm always working on a bunch of putters to show off. And then, like, you know, people come in abandoned and can stop in and see what I'm working on, and we can chat about whatever we want to make for them. Back in the day, I was thinking I'd want to do a whole experience thing where someone would come out and go like fly fishing with me and make a putter like while they're here. And that'd be great and all, but like time wise, it takes a long time to make these putters. And then family wise, like, I had all these ideas of where I wanted to take this business and what I wanted to do. But like, I mean, this is going to be literally the latest I picked up my kids in forever. Like, I was with them doing junior golf this morning. This is golfing dads, right? Like, I'm dad first. And in the beginning, you know, I always say family first, but that in practice was a little iffy, just trying to like, you know, build a business. Now that I'm relatively established, I work 8 to 5-ish, depending on what needs to be done. And then I'm with my kids most of their time. So like, I had all these ideas, like, you know, make this crazy cool place, have people from all over the world come in, and then it's like, well, actually, it's a really cool spot to make putters, and then I can go home to my kids and wife, and that's what's important to me. Doing the grind and trying to.
I'm gonna say this though. I think we all need to make a trip there and then go to Bandon and do our podcast with Brad from the poker table.
It's pretty freaking amazing.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, and being close to Bandon, like I did Solstice last year. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
How long till you're the mayor of Grants Pass?
I get asked way too often to do. Well, they want me to be commissioner of our county, and I seriously get asked like once a month. Like it's ridiculous. And I tell them no. Like
that's my
love it. I mean, yeah. If mine were, it's my mom's watching my kids now because otherwise it would be just a massive wrestle fest back there. But yeah, I mean, I'm on a couple government committees. Like I'm more than happy to help out. I'm the chairman of the local YMCA board. Like I volunteer and help stuff out, but when it comes to like actually running for office and then having to actually do something because you got elected to do it, like that's not what I'm about. Like I volunteer in the background, and being mayor here, like as soon as you get elected, half the town hates you for no good reason, because it's pretty much like Parks and Rec level of populace, if you know what I mean. Yeah. No offense to everyone at Grants Pass, but
no.
We just need you to
make
keep
cool putters, make cool putters, and be in the background.
That's that is. Well, and I'm born and raised here, so I know everyone. Like I walk down the street to the post office. Like I'm literally 3 blocks away from the post office. I'm a 4-minute drive to work. If I go anywhere, I know half the people there, or they know my family. It's a great place to live, and I can be very involved. But I also like try and. Before we had kids, I did everything. Like I was doing Rotary, I was on like 10 different boards, trying to do everything to help the community. And now that I got kids, I've gotten really good at saying no to things. And so I don't want to do anything but make cool putters and hang out with my family.
There you go.
When you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
It's pretty sweet.
So Brad, I'm going to ask, you've done some pretty amazing stuff in the putter business. You've done putters for the likes of Russell Wilson. The putter that we posted the picture of for tonight's show was with wood from the USS Constitution. You've done some Fallen Soldiers one. You just did one recently with hole-in-ones for a guy that gave it to his dad for all of his hole-in-ones. What's
7 of them?
7 of them. Yeah, I still don't have one.
With the course design.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
that was tricky trying to figure out the layout of that. Like, and on 2 of them, they're from a course that doesn't exist, so I had to like get on Google Earth, go back in time, and then literally like find an old scorecard, and I was using the measurement thing to figure out what hole was which. That took days to just figure that out, and then once I had that out, then I had to do the layout of, okay, you've got these 7 holes, but how can you make it look like an actual course with water and with everything in the right spot? That I don't want to do that again, but it was fun. But no, I mean, coolest putter. I mean, one of the cooler stories done recently, I made a putter for the CEO of Intel, and he developed the 486 chip back in like the 80s. And he sent me a silicon wafer of that, and then one of the original CPUs. So I put the CPU on the top, and then on the bottom, I was gonna try and cut out a cross shape, but because he's a Christian guy that I know him because he and his wife support my wife's aunt's and uncle's charity in Kenya. And so we were going to do like a cross with the silicon wafer. But if you've ever tried to cut silicon wafers, they just shatter almost instantly. So like I just ended up shattering it, but then realized it would look almost like a stained glass window if I then just like make the cross shape. And then I put those pieces in place with some silver UV resin like in between it, so it looked like, you know, the tin in between, and so it looks like a cross stained glass window on the bottom of his putter, and then it's wood from his grandpa's orchard. So like it's just awesome. Cool. Like so many special stories in that in just a putter that like he pulls that thing out. It's just like, yeah, it's a boss. Like he made that. Like everything about that is his entire story.
Yeah.
I had one. I haven't showed it off yet. But from a design standpoint, it was really cool. Have a friend who his brother, I'm hoping he gives it to him soon so I can show it off. his brother is working on this like space, like this satellite going to Jupiter, and sent me this really cool retro looking, what is it, like a poster. And he wanted to put that on the bottom. So I figured out how to make this really cool retro looking poster. Like it looks perfect, like the exact same thing on the bottom of the putter. Then on the top, there's just like this magnetic picture of like how the magnetic field works around that satellite. And I had to contact like NASA itself and be like, hey, can I get this image? Because all I see is this really blurry one. And I sent them some of my work. They're like, yeah, what you do is really cool. You can only use it for this putter once, but here you go. And so like they sent it to me, and I put that on the top of the putter kind of as an alignment line. Just freaking cool.
So hey, have you gotten asked to do one of a sub going down to the Titanic yet, or no?
I mean, yeah, it's a bunch of shattered carbon and too soon.
Wah,
Too soon.
wah.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm going to use one of the Logitech controller D-pad buttons.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, if you saw that controller, I want my money back. If you're like, okay, this is how I'm driving you down there. Nope, I want a refund. No. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out.
Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later.
Yeah. So speaking of crazy, you've done some crazy designs out there. What's one of the craziest designs that someone has asked for?
I mean, people want ashes in putters every so often, and that one, I do everything I can to say no until someone's like gives me a really good reason to. Often I'm telling like, you don't want to bring up sad stuff. Like you don't want to be sad, but if you're like, I want to bring my dad with me on the course. Okay, sure. Like we don't put dates of death on putters or anything like that. Like I want happy stuff. But then figuring out how to like incorporate ashes in a way that's like visually cool, like, you know, mix it in with some glitter so like you can tell where they were. Those are always cool. And then yeah, I mean, people like I've had people give me elements like sand and stuff from a certain place where a golf tournament happens in a springtime that I've had to incorporate into putters. That's been fun, which is interesting because that sand is not sand, it's quartz. And so when you get it wet, it just disappears. Like it's not white sand. It's quartz. So like figuring out, I have to dope that with some white mica to like make it look like what it
This is how like. We're controlling the show, by the way.
There you go. Perfect. Love it. Like there's a lot of times that I have to make something that isn't like, if someone wants me to make a putter that looks like something, I have to actually not use that. I have to like fake it using something else to make it look like what we want it to look like. Because we use the
it's
real
like
thing.
Food and TV commercials.
Very much. Yeah. It's because it's a miniature scale. Everything's so much smaller. Yeah. So like I'm doing a putter right now for a guy where this is like the back half or the front half of the putter. And then he and his dad collect a bunch of agates. So I have to like figure out how to glue there's already weights inside of this front piece, and I have to like glue agates into the back and then pour acrylic and get them to float properly. And I have to do that twice because he wants one for him and his dad. So yeah, that one, I'd never done something exactly like that, but I have to figure it out. And
so if you're doing all these crazy things, are these putters USGA conforming?
Yes, for the most part. There's a few shapes I do that I warn people like this shape won't be conforming because it comes down to like the front and the back. If they're both striking surfaces and they're not identical, then that's not conforming. But I mean, wood is how the game started. So as long as I sent putters in, the shapes conform, the hardnesses conform. There's rules about like if I make it too goofy where it looks like a school bus or something, like that's something that the USGA technically says no. But for the most part, if it's just gorgeous with some engravings and it's, you know, any of my standard shapes, then it conforms.
Nice.
So with that being said, have you ever just finished a putter and said, nope, can't send that one out?
A couple times. I mean, I guarantee people like that they'll love the putter. So that's very important to me, is that they actually like it. There was one I did where I actually did like it, and the wife was getting it for her husband and he liked it. But then like 2 weeks later, he reaches out and is like, hey, something's up. Like my wife, like I can tell something's off and she doesn't like something about the putter. And so we talked about it, and I had put something in the wrong spot where she wanted it in a different spot. It all looked great, but it was just in the wrong spot. I had him send it back to me. I sanded stuff off, moved things around. I think I had to it was like a coin that I had to peel stuff off and get it totally fresh again and replace it and then get it back to them. So even though I loved it and the client who actually was the one using it loved it, the wife didn't. So I fixed it. So I tell people all the time, I'm making a putter that's never existed before. And I won't, every step of the way I'm doing it. It's just me. So every putter I do each step. If I get to a point where I'm I don't think this is going to look good, I don't do it. And I will warn somebody, we shouldn't go this route because that's going to look like trash. I made a putter once for someone and it was early on, and that's kind of when I made the decision to not make ugly putters. And they wanted cards on it that the color was green and red, and it looked like Christmas. It looked like a Vegas Christmas, and it was just obnoxious. And after making that, I'm just because someone says they want something doesn't mean I should make it for them like that. At the end of the day, I want a beautiful putter. So nothing leaves my shop unless I love it. And then if it leaves the shop and I love it and they don't, I'll still fix it and make a new one for them.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to show this putter off. And Brad, you know which one this is. This was that piece of sycamore that got hit by lightning.
It exploded. Yeah, that thing.
Sycamore.
Yep.
And you auctioned it off. I ended up winning the auction. And literally, to me, it's still the coolest thing I have in my golf. It's the coolest golf product that I own. And it's nothing fancy. It just looks awesome. It's cool. So you've gone through some, as you've said, I showed my other one earlier where we had the big Bradley name burned in the bottom of them. And so you've gone through some different changes and different nuances. Have you ever been afraid to try something and was I can't do that? Or, oh man, that came out way better than I thought it was going to.
The better than I thought it was going to is often. One of the big ones that I actually told someone no for a long time was they wanted the Maryland flag as a putter. And I'm there's just no way to do that. I could engrave the Maryland flag.
Didn't you?
Yeah,
I did. You just do it? Yeah.
Yeah. But I told them for the longest time, there's no way. If you've seen it, there's 2 puzzle pieces together.
It's an elaborate flag.
Offset. It's a stupid flag. It's a great flag. It's very noticeable. But if you're trying to make it into a putter, it's a stupid flag. And so, after they asked enough times, I'm okay, I could probably do that. And so I had to 3D print the puzzle piece. Then I had to 3D print a square. I had to pour the puzzle piece red, and then once that cured, pull it out, put it into the square to pour the white. And then I had to do that in reverse, then, do white, then red. Then I had to glue all those pieces together. Then I had to glue a bunch of the white and black wood together, cut it at the right angle, offset it, put it all back together. And then at that point I had the block. And then from there, I had to line everything up, add the weights, and make it into a putter. That one was ridiculous. But there's very little now that if someone came to me with some idea of what they wanted, I've got enough techniques and methods that I could pretty much do anything now.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, creating heirlooms for people, you can't really test on a putter that you're making for somebody. So how do you test, or even, how does that process go when you're trying to just test something random?
I mean, I do, as long as it's not some crazy special piece of wood that there's only one of, I will try things all the time. I've done enough to know what probably will work and what probably won't. So I will, it's very rare that I'll just make a putter to try something new. If someone wants something crazy, I will make 5 different iterations of it until it's perfect, because I don't do R&D just randomly. It's all based off of what someone wants. So if someone wants a cool heirloom piece that I've never made before, I will try as many times as it takes to make their putter, but then that counts as my R&D for then using those skills to make the next putters. Because every time I post a putter, people are oh, I like that. Could you make something like this but different? And so it's just always developing.
So let me ask you. I just want to, Greg. Let me follow up on that really quickly. So you got a piece of wood from the USS Constitution, aka Old Ironsides, aka part of the Freedom Trail in Boston. I just want to know, as someone who grew up in Western Massachusetts, who would go and see, that was part of our high school field trips. how nerve-wracking was that piece of wood to work with?
Pretty. I mean, yeah, like especially when you're doing clear acrylic is very unforgiving. If I don't do every step right, get all the moisture out, do the pour exactly right, degas everything, then there'll be bubbles and then it's ruined and you're pretty well screwed. There's often ways I can like fix things if they don't go well, but it was definitely one of those that there's a moment where when I pour acrylic, I have to put it in a pressure pot, kind of like the sub. So it's like 70 PSI, and I release pressure, and then I have to unscrew these 4 bolts, and I pull out the block. And so as I'm doing that, my blood pressure, my heart rate's rising. Like, please look good. Like, please look right. And so you open it up, and it's clear and glassy. And you're like, oh yes. And there's been times where like I open it up and there's bubbles everywhere. That was long ago. I haven't had that problem in forever because I've figured it all out. But it's stressful when you're not sure if it's going to work. Nowadays, though, like I've done it enough times that I don't do something unless I know it's going to work because I know all the different steps that can go wrong and to not do those.
Well, that brings me to the question I was going to ask. So it kind of ties on to what Steve was asking. Do you ask people sometimes like, hey, give me extra supplies of this stuff if you have it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's not like, if I only have like this small piece of this heirloom, I'm going to tell you that. Or if you're like, hey, how much of this do you have? So in case I have to tweak or work things out, you ask for that kind of thing, correct?
Yeah, I say ship as much as, like, I let them know the size of what I need to make it, but then ship me as much as you can so that, like, I have a little bit of wiggle room. When I'm stabilizing stuff and drying things, like, things can warp, things can shrink. I don't want something that's just the exact perfect shape because there's no room, there's no margin for error. It's pretty rare that like there's only one of something that I have to get just right. Those are the scary ones for sure, but luckily it's not too often. And then if it is, then I make sure that I'm doing it in a method that is mostly foolproof.
And if they're putting something in there, do you have to kind of counterbalance weight to make sure that the putter has a good swing weight and things like that?
It depends on how heavy it is. But then I will put it right. Symmetry is really important. And then there's 240 grams at least of lead weights inside. So it looks like just a wood putter, but there's a lot of lead in there too. So there's, if it's 15 grams, that's relatively small compared to everything else going on. So I take it into account, but it's not, it's pretty rare that I can't fit something in. Sometimes there's like really big coins that are hefty, and especially if they want it on the bottom of the putter where there's like not much room, since I cut off the bottom, put weights in, and then like put it back. You can kind of see it here. There's a pretty thin bottom, and that's going to be sanded down quite a bit too. There's just not much room to put a coin there, so sometimes I'll have to get into the weights as well. But I've done it before, and I know how to plan for that. I do all the math to make sure that I hit the final weight that someone wants.
Hey, Brad, okay. Just so our viewers know, your putters, can you make right-handed and left-handed putters?
Yeah. I used to do it for charities all the time. Like, you make a putter head, and like, here's a cool looking green one. This could be lefty or righty right now. Like, I do the drill here or there. 6-1, half dozen the other. I'm lefty myself, so my entire company has been built on the fact that I can never find lefty equipment. So definitely want lefties to get. Yeah, I appreciate them.
So speaking of followers, you have 34,000 followers on Instagram. Before coming on this show, how did you know you made it?
I mean, it was the early on thing. Well, actually, there was one time someone recognized me in an airport. That was weird.
Oh, nice.
I tell people all the time, I'm a C-level golf celebrity. So if I'm at the right place at the right time, someone will know me. And that's fun. So yeah, going to a new course, and then, or like I've been at Bandon and like posting that I'm there, and someone reaches out like, hey, I'm here with my dad. Like, we have one of your putters. Can we get a picture with you? Stuff like that's cool. So, but it was, getting the golf.com article early on, that was like, okay, there's juice to squeeze here. This is definitely something that I enjoy doing.
Mouth.
Making me hungry.
Yeah. So, you say that, like, we've had like two of our other really good friends of the show are Towel Tag and Dormy Head Covers. How excited would you be, like, if some PGA pro had your putter in his bag?
Nope. I can make very few putters. Like, I control my advertising. Like, I control my posting even. Like, I don't even post a ton on Instagram or do stories, like, if I'm too busy. Because, again, it's family first. Like, I want to be with my wife and kids, and I don't want to have a 2-year-long wait list. I try, if my wait list is longer than 2 months, I just stop posting entirely. So if someone won on tour with my putter, I couldn't answer the phone enough. Like, it's literally just me. If you call Bradley Putters, I answer. If you like send an email to Bradley Putters, I might reply if it looks interesting enough. I do my own website. I do everything myself. So I very much control. Like, I'm not trying to grow as big and fast as possible.
Lee from Wedge FX. You know, it's funny, Brad, you talk about that because, you know, we talk about this as dads and family, and you've talked quite a bit about family first. And I've gotten a chance to meet your wife and your kids, and you've got 3 amazing kids. And it's great to see Ryan is doing way better, because there was a time there where you and I were texting and not talking about golf at all. But you kind of hit it on this earlier. And before we wrap up and have a couple follow-up questions, just, how hard is it in balancing that, owning your own business at this point and being a dad and being a family guy?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you don't get the balance just right, something suffers. So if you're spending too much time with family, then your business is not growing as much as it could. If you are spending too much time on the business, then your family is suffering and they're not getting as much time with dad as they need. And so in the first 3 years, I definitely put too much time into the business and was going to too many events and was trying to grow, because that's what you're supposed to do in a business. And now I'm more on the other side of the pendulum. I'm spending a ton more time with my family, and we're doing family trips every weekend. I haven't gone to like a golf event to promote my putters and I don't know how long. Like, there's a ton more I could be doing to promote my business, but I would rather err on the side of my kids are young once, and I'd rather spend time with them, and I have enough money to pay the bills, and there's, still great potential and growth trajectory, and I could do cool stuff down the road. But I want to go watch my kids do junior golf on Monday mornings. Like, I want to go with my wife to see her side of the family in Bend last weekend, and not take my clubs, because that's going to be 5 hours away from everybody when we're only spending 2 days there. My wife's getting into golf, so she's learning now. My kids are learning. And so it's going to be something we do moving forward. But, my daughter, Annie, she turns 2 in August, and like, there's so much growth and development that happens that I missed out a little bit of that with Ryan, because he was born right when my business was just starting up. And, looking back at pictures, like, I barely remember some of that time because I was so busy. And I would much rather, you can always make more money. Like, it's out there. There's always, people make $1 million overnight with some new great idea. You cannot get time back with your kids. Like, it's not possible. So that is a much more valuable resource and asset to me right now than growing my business and money. Like, when people every person that gets one of my putters loves it. People, like, when they get one of my putters, I've had someone say that they've seen their dad cry 3 times, twice when at funerals, and once when they got one of my putters. So I've got a fantastic product that people love, and when I post about it, people want to order it. But I very much control my business growth depending on how much time does it leave me to be with family.
Awesome.
Yeah, when you have sentiment like that, it'll show in your work.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a small business owner. We're a small family winery. Today my son helped me move and rack wine, and at 8 years old, he knows more about wine than Steve does.
That's not saying much, but
that's not saying much at all.
But he
true.
Yeah.
Roasted.
Thanks, Will.
Will for the win.
That's a drink for Will being on the podcast. But yeah, I completely understand. I was we've all been in this situation where you gotta choose family and balance that. And I think the 3 of us and you, Brad, have come to that realization. And part of that is why we do this show here at night.
Yeah,
because it's part of our legacy to pass on to our kids and get a chance to talk to other dads that are out there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's what everything's about. It's I'm not going to have a bunch of Instagram followers at my bedside when I'm dying, but my kids hopefully will be there. So I'd rather pour into them than be, chatting with my followers all the time. Like as much as I love it, it's just not what in long term is going to be the best thing for my family.
Listen, I do appreciate that you respond to my text messages and answer my calls. I'll just say that. So.
Yeah, you're on the list.
we don't answer his calls. Brad.
No, they don't.
You do. Like,
No, there's sometimes that, like, he calls and I'm just like, and my wife looks at me and she goes, "That's smack." And I said, "Yes." And I'm like, "Nope." And the sad part is my wife knew him before me.
Lee's daughter says your boyfriend's calling whenever Steve calls Lee. So
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
too.
there's plenty of times that like my wife's like, "Who is that?" And it's Steve. She's like, "Oh, okay." Like she gets the eye roll, and
yeah,
and
you
she
get
just
the
goes
eye
off
roll.
and goes around. Yep.
Yeah.
So
but
we
it's
all
always
know the
interesting.
wife eye roll when Steve calls.
Yep.
Yes, we're very used to that. So you've kind of touched on, what's next, and what you're gonna do, and you're choosing how you pick your clients. So our clients, our followers, how do they find you and order their next heirloom, and where do they go?
Yeah, bradleyputters.com. Pretty easy there. There's a scheduler, so you can like hop on my schedule, and if there's an open spot, that means that I'm free. Going on Instagram and scrolling through, like each post kind of has a story with it, so you can see what someone got and why they got it. And then, I'm still relatively easy to get a hold of. Like if someone wants a putter, more than happy to chat. It's more just like I'm not actively seeking out people to come order my putters because like I've got enough to keep me busy. And what's nice is because I'm not like out there on the internet begging people to get my putters, I don't have any like I don't argue with anyone ever about my putters. They're not like, "Oh, that's gotta suck," like because it's wood. I'm like, okay, like I used to be out there a lot and I used to get that, and now anyone that contacts me has read up enough to know that they're awesome and they already have an idea in mind. So like I only talk to people that are very much a warm market. Like they're excited to get a putter and they can't wait to chat with me. So that's fun. It's none of the trade show awkwardness of like, "Please just try my wood putter," and people like, "There's no way I want to try that," and then they roll it and like, "Oh, it's amazing." But it's gotten to the point where it's just people that have done their research and then call me up, and actually you just put in your appointment time and then I call you. It's about as simple as possible.
I have some wine in the tanks right now on oak, and it'll be hopefully ready come January, February. So I think you and I will have a conversation sometime next year.
That'll be sweet. Yeah, I love making putter.
Same
It's one of the best smelling woods. It smells like vanilla. Whiskey barrel is just that much better. Like cutting a good whiskey barrel, it's there's times where I'll just grab some of my whiskey and just cut it just to make it smell good in here. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, Brad, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. I know you got to get the kids, and you're definitely West Coast, so cheers. Thank you for being here with us, and look forward to following you and like seeing the stuff you post. I will tell you that the original putter, the OG one that you did that looked like a ribeye a long time ago, was what got me to you. And my wife was like, I showed it to her, and I think she saw that and pictures of Wolf Creek, and I've played Wolf Creek and I have one of your putters. So I just want to say thank you for that. And thank you for being you. And I appreciate you even texting me back. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anytime you want to come on and show off something cool that you're working on with somebody else's permission, come on. Text
Come on.
Steve,
Yeah, you are more than one. Yeah, yeah, text me. Yeah.
And we need to make
I appreciate that.
A West Coast trip out there, and
I'll show you a good
we
time.
need to
There's a lot of good I mean, there's your classic Bandon, but there's a lot of sleepers out here that are really good. Like really good golf out here.
I more want to see your studio and then play golf after.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to sit in a simulator and sit at the poker table. That's all I'm thinking about.
See,
so.
Here's the thing. Steve will be Steve, and Greg and I will
be
do all the cooking for your family.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'm starving right now, so let's not talk food just yet. But gentlemen, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad.
It's been fun.
Thanks,
See you,
Brad.
Brad. Thanks. See you. Cheers.
I mean, nothing gets better than that much customization. Come on.
No,
Right.
Like, that's awesome.
Right. Like,
no, I think there is a Cabernet and Syrah putter in my future once I get stuff out of the tanks.
hey,
I
you know
think
what? We're
Steve-
gonna. I'm
We
gonna
need
just
a
say
whiskey
this,
barrel golfing dad's tavern putter.
Dave. We might need one, but I was also thinking, Dave, you might need to have a conversation with him for the winery about selling some of your putters. Having him make putters and then selling them. Like, that may be a conversation you need to have.
The clientele for that putter is going to be the Hawkeye Cup for my father-in-law.
Oh,
So
there
You're
you go.
right.
Hawkeye Cup
Yeah,
guy,
there you
That's a
go.
good
any of the
one.
Hawkeye Cup guys are out there listening,
Will.
get
Well,
a hold of me and let's make some putters happen for the Hawkeye Cup.
let's make some. Yeah, no, because that would
Hey,
be a really cool.
Will's on
that
the
would
show.
be a really cool. Hey, Will. All right, it's that time of the night.
Is it? Is it that time
Is
of the
it
night?
really?
Is it our
Already?
favorite time of the night?
How was this? How was this not a 1 week like appearance and done?
Stick
Like, how
around
is this
for
not a
that
one and
intro.
done?
Because it's the greatest intro ever.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
Hopefully
I've got
Brad stayed long enough to see that.
I wanted to have Brad make that a putter.
Rainbows and unicorns. Let's go. Our smack of the week this week is it's, there's been a lot of talk on social media about TaylorMade drivers not lasting or cracking or something. This one was not TaylorMade's error. It wasn't.
Oh my god.
I love the woman's reaction, like that she can barely breathe.
Right.
Like, and if you actually slow it down, you can see where that guy takes a terrible swing. And is that the ultimate idiot mark?
Ooh.
It is. I think it is. It's got to be close. It's close. I mean,
for your consideration, LSU is now up 10-2.
Yeah, they
for
have.
those
Florida
of you
only has
following
2 hits. Florida only has 2 hits, by the way.
Yeah. LSU is not going to need to deploy their top pitcher at this point in time.
No, they will not.
No.
But yeah, no. I do want to show this video really quick, and we can debate it really quick. I know it's smack of the week, and this could be a last call topic, but we have a last call topic.
Yeah, I don't think this is a smack.
No.
I've never golfed once in my entire life before 3 weeks ago, but I've been taking golf lessons. It is pissing rain right now. 3 weeks ago, you couldn't pay me $1 million to go in the piss rain. I didn't even own a rain jacket. And now I'm away to my golf lesson in the piss rain, and I'm excited about it. This makes no sense. Oh. I'm in a rain jacket going to play golf. And I'm happy. What kind of drugs are in the sport?
Hey, it's our favorite saying. You're still golfing.
You're still golfing. You're still golfing.
You're still golfing.
Still golfing.
And
I think that if we're gonna get Bradley putters from whiskey barrels or from my wine barrels, you're still golfing is the tagline underneath.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's
It's that's what the sport is it is addicting. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at professional athletes, and I think Michael Jordan said this. He started golfing because he still wanted that competitive nature that he had from playing professional sports. That's why he took up golf, because it gave him that balance. He said now he gets so competitive golfing that he took up fishing to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen his fishing boat though? I mean, we could hang out on his fishing boat. He wouldn't know we were there. So
I'm not sure it's called, a boat at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when I was on my cruise this spring, we went out took a charter out to one of the islands to go swim with the dolphins, and we passed Jordan's house, and we're like, yeah,
One of Jordan's house.
one of down in Nassau, yeah, one of.
Yep.
Like that's what the sport's about. It's about being competitive, but it's really about being competitive with yourself and trying to better yourself. And that's what makes it fun and addicting, and what makes it why we love this sport.
Yep.
All right, boys. Last call.
All right, I'm going to read it.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
But stay here for a little bit.
Yeah,
Rory McIlroy talked about TPC River Highlands post round after firing rounds of 68, 64, 66, 64 to finish T7 at the Travelers Championships. I don't particularly like when a tournament is like this. Unfortunately, technology has passed the course by, right? It sort of has made it obsolete, especially as soft as it has been with a little bit of rain that we had. So again, like the conversation going back to, limiting the golf ball and stuff like that. When it comes to courses like this, they just don't present a challenge that they used to. Okay.
So here's the thing. We said this before. It's 6,900 yards. It's not that long of a golf course by any means, even by just standard means. So it's not going to be that hard for the professionals that hit it as far as they do. Also, you don't have really thick rough. It's not like if you were playing the U.S. Open rough and someone hit a shot that rolled off the fairway and into the rough and then into the water, that wouldn't have happened at the U.S. Open. It would have stuck in the rough because it's so thick.
Yeah. So
is it the course? I don't think it's technology that has passed it by. I think it's strength of players now because it's turned into a physical game, and you can make the course tougher. You can, but also if it rains and it gets soggy, it's gonna be
it's gonna be different
out there.
When Bryson challenged the U.S. Open and just hit driver everywhere because he was strong enough to hit irons, out of the high grass, and that's what it was. It's not technology, it's the elevation of the game. But I said it before, it's just we said birdies are cool, and if you didn't make birdies there, you didn't win.
Now here's the thing, coming off the US Open where traditionally par is your friend and it's a bloodbath, and you know what, they got lucky the first couple days where the marine layer stayed in at LACC and kind of took some teeth out of the golf course. If the marine layer had stayed in for 4 days at LACC, I think the scores would have been crazy low. I think we would have seen 16, 17, 18 under. It would have been like Aaron Hills, which the USGA would have been miserable with. But when you look at what TPC River Highlands is, when you look at a 6,900-yard golf course on tour, do they think they need to lengthen the golf course? They do. I grew up going to that golf tournament. There isn't a lot of room to lengthen the golf course. There really isn't. And I think that's the bigger issue with that golf course. Do I think that it has come time for them to maybe look at other venues for that tournament for the Travelers? Again, the PGA Tour is going to want to go to a TPC facility if they can. We all know that. That's how the tour operates. They own TPC facilities. So they're going to do their best to have their events at TPC events. Would they be smarter to take that event to TPC Boston? Let's just say when they don't, the years they don't have it they don't have the playoff event there. Maybe that's an option. But I think that the tour is like, is there a case here where they should look at, maybe do they look at doing a redesign of the golf course? They've already redesigned that golf course once.
Twice.
Here's the thing. Next year, that is not an elevated.
It was redesigned again.
Yeah. That is not that will not be an elevated event next year.
But that's
so you're not going to have that. That's where everybody got thrown off, is that it was an elevated event and everybody was there to play. Next year, you're not you may have 2 guys in the top 25 there next year, maybe 3.
Well, you're
going to have a lot of guys fighting for status and points next year that go to that tournament, and it may not be 23, 22 under. It may be, 14, 15, 16. It may be a little bit more reasonable under there, but you're
but
not
look at the other guys that were in the top 25 guys was there. Ches Reavie was on the leaderboard, and while I will give Ches Reavie a lot of credit, he's in top 100 all-time earnings. These guys make a lot of money. the idea that these guys make this much money playing golf. Ches Reavie finished what, second? I mean, Keegan's kids were there to congratulate him on a great week, which was great sportsmanship. But I think that the idea that the tour has this
tied fourth.
Okay, still got a top 5.
Yep.
It's I think the idea that the tour has this problem with TPC River Highlands. They got rain early on. Thursday and Friday, it rained. I mean, Rory's complaining about a golf course that he made his first hole-in-one on the PGA Tour on.
But I think Dave's right, and I think Eric was right earlier when we talked about this. It's because it's an elevated event. I think if this wasn't an elevated event and it wasn't the week after the U.S. Open, Rory wouldn't have made this comment.
I honestly think
because Rory wouldn't have been there.
The reason it was an elevated event was because it was the week after the U.S. Open, and the tour knew it was the only way they were going to get players to show up.
No, I know why they made an elevated event, but I think that's part of this conversation. Is if, to Dave's point, if this is not an elevated event, you played at the same place, and it's players that are trying to, in next year's scenario, fight their way into the top 50. You're going to see, you might see high scores. But you're going to be like, oh, these guys are playing really well. And you're not going to be talking about, like, the top players.
Scotty Scheffler and
having
Rory
to play
and all
birdie
these
and
guys.
hit
Yeah.
that. You're not. Because what makes it difference is it comes down to putting, and it comes down to the short game. So if you make it easier where you can make these birdies and make these putts and everything, and it's an easier putt, it brings everyone into play. So if you're shooting low scores and hitting putts, but so is everybody else, then it just comes down to who can make the most birdies. It's not and that's what I think Rory's point is.
Here's the other thing. When you look at Florida and they have the Florida swing, they have the Texas swing, they have the California swing, they play a couple events in Arizona. This is the only event in the Northeast when you think about it. Like, they alternate a playoff event in Boston, but it's really the only PGA Tour event in the Northeast annually. So you still need to have that Northeast. I mean, yeah, you could count New York. I guess you could say that there's, but like, I really feel like this is like the New England event, and it's the only event on tour that's in the New England state. So you're going to have something up in that area. You just have to. Otherwise,
I almost think they need to, like, kind of think about the tour from that in a regional, like, sense of, hey, have your swings where you're in Florida, you play a bunch in Florida, then you move to, like, the Midwest, then you move to the Southwest and the West Coast, then you come back and you do the Northeast, like, based on the seasons and stuff there, because that might be a way to do it and change up the elevated events. And then also think about that in your rotations of your majors, like, because the only major that's in the same place every year is the first one.
Correct. Now, here's the question. Here's a great question. Could you find another golf course up there, and could you keep that golf course and play it on the Champions Tour? Because 6,900 yards on the Champions Tour is a great distance for the Champions Tour.
It is. And that would be a good – but there's plenty of courses up there that, like – but I feel a lot of the courses that are in the Northeast, because a lot of your top courses in the top 100 courses in the world are in the Northeast.
Correct.
Like, let's be honest. Your Shinnecock, your
Country Club,
Pine Valley, the Country Club, all of those, Baltusrol,
where the women's PGA was last weekend.
Exactly. All of those are your major tournament type courses.
Venues. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Like, that's where, and that's what those venues want too. They don't want to be an every year type of
They
event.
don't want to be the Travelers.
No, they don't.
But here's
they
the
don't
thing.
want that.
The Travelers knows what they are. And again, they're catering to the wives and girlfriends. They're giving out nice perks for being there and showing up as a player. They're giving out, chartered
flights from LACC.
Well, again, though, it's not like they're the only ones that have done the chartered flight.
John Deere used to do it to the Open.
To the Open.
And here's the thing, we're going to, and we'll get into this next week, but we're going to Detroit, and then we're going to TPC John Deere. And it's just like elevated Detroit and, TPC John Deere is just not going to see, because all those guys are going to heading over to go probably.
Is John Deere the same week? Is John Deere the same week as the Scottish?
It starts July 5th is the Pro-Am.
I believe it. Usually, it used to. I don't think it does
usually
anymore.
it used to be, yeah.
No, I don't think it is. What's the calendar look like? Hold on.
But a lot of those guys, you're not going to see the top 25 because they're all going to get over to England to go get acclimated to go play over there.
No, so the Scottish is the week of the 15th.
Week.
The following week. The Scottish is the following week because that's co-sanctioned between the PGA Tour and the European Tour. And then the week after that is the British.
Yeah.
So,
but I still don't see a lot of top 25 guys playing at TPC John Deere.
I wonder if Jordan shows up. Sight of his first win.
He might.
Like I feel like
he's taking this week off.
Well, it also all depends on what's his wrist doing.
Yeah, and if he gets a tractor or not.
I mean, if they're going to give me a tractor,
show up and get a tractor.
I mean, I'll show up for a tractor. I mean,
so the buddy that I golfed with went to the John Deere a few years ago, and actually, when he was leaving, signed up, won a lawnmower. Nice. He actually won the contest there.
Good for him.
You know we haven't. Hold on. You know what we haven't talked about? What's also coming up this week? There's another big golf tournament coming up this week besides Detroit.
Adaptive Golf is in 2 weeks.
No, it's got 4 players in it.
And the match.
The match.
The match.
We haven't talked about
when is that? When is the match?
29th. It's Thursday. It's the first day of the.
Do I have odds on that?
Are we available to go live during the match?
I think we have to. I think we might have to think about. Oh, I'll be at the Bananas game.
You'll be at the Bananas game. Oh.
But I might be back in time for it. So I will say
that might be one I let my youngest Luke is enamored with some dude named Steph. So we might have to let him come hang out on the podcast that night and talk about Steph Curry.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want.
I got odds.
This. I actually watched on Whatnot, on the Whatnot app, which I'm actually going to be on after this. Patrick Mahomes did a hole-in-one contest from Hawaii trying to make a hole-in-one for charity. He did not make a hole-in-one, and he only hit 1 out of 25 within 10 feet of the hole.
All right. Would you like to know the odds?
Sure.
Yes. For a 12-hole match. Let's make this 18 again, and let's get the betting back into it.
Right. Curry and Thompson, minus 265. Mahomes and Kelsey, plus 2.25.
Here's the question that I have. Is there a prop bet on Jackson Mahomes making a butthole of himself?
What, from prison?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
He's in prison, right?
No, I thought he was out.
No, he's still in prison.
He's still in prison.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your comment might mean something else at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do like, here's the thing. The first match, I wish they would have gambled more. I wish they would have allowed that to happen. It was a great thing to watch.
Wasn't the first one the one with
Tiger and Phil?
Was it
Tiger and Phil?
Was it Tiger and
Tiger
Phil?
and Phil on pay-per-view? That was what started this.
On pay-per-view.
Yeah, and then the pay-per-view crashed.
Nothing worked. Like
nothing worked.
Everyone got it for free or so. It was. I remember signing up for that. I was literally leaving for Hawaii the next day, and I stayed up to watch that thing.
Yep.
But I like this time that you're putting 2 different sports and avid golfers from those 2 different sports with teammates of theirs teaming up for this. I kind of like the setup this time.
Okay, here is Travis Kelsey gonna act like John Daly?
No. Ooh. Now, is there a prop bet
on him hitting a ball
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be a prop bet on that, Dave. I feel like we need to come up with a prop bet on that.
That is true. And will the Splash Brothers hit enough in the water?
Minus 250 on that one.
Yeah.
Minus 250 on that one.
Yeah. So
is that here's the thing. Is Travis Kelsey not taking it serious enough? Because Patrick Mahomes has that like eye of the tiger mentality.
I think Travis Kelsey does whatever Patrick Mahomes tells him to do.
Okay.
So are you saying that Kelsey's his bitch?
I want to see Jason.
I'm not telling Kelsey.
Bag.
I'm not either. But I feel like that's what Dave just
Jason
said.
on Travis's bag and see what happens.
Now,
in his mummer's outfit.
Let's be honest. The match we want to see is Mahomes and Kelsey versus Brady and Gronk.
No, Burrow and Jamar Chase.
No. The match we want to see is those two versus Michael and Charles.
Ooh. No, we want Charles on commentary.
Yeah,
I want Charles. I want Charles mic'd up. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Here's the match we want. We're going back to 1v1. Charles versus Shaq.
Ooh.
100% want to watch that.
Yeah, Shaq do his little free throw for a putt.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, no! Here it is. Yes.
Brad, how many are Greg and I getting aside?
We don't need any, Dave. Dave, you and I know each other's game well enough that that is a fair match.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, I will be up in Illinois the 8th, 9th, and 10th, maybe. So I might have to reach out to play some golf that week if you're there.
Hey Greg, I'll put you guys in a text group so you have his number.
All right.
Yeah.
But no, so thank you guys. Oh, that's right. You have an unboxing.
I do. I got a little present from our friends at Desert Fox. So we got a couple of the Desert Fox cool towels that I am gonna not only be working on the golf course but testing out in the vineyard. And we have Steve's favorite color inclusion because everything that I have from the golf. This is actually red, but it looks pink. Everything that I have gotten,
it's Merlot.
Steve, yes, it is. It is very good Merlot. Is pink, but thanks to the guys at Desert Fox, I got some blue and some gray ones. They're gonna go in my bag. You're gonna see me working with them out in the vineyard coming up here, and I'll get those out. But I got a whole bunch here for when we start getting our crews together to do some great picking out there. But I'll be using them. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, all the stuff that Steve has sent me as promotional items.
It's a running joke.
Pink. Yeah.
Every time.
Yep. Because that's what I do. And I represent it very well. Hey, if Bret Hart in the WWE can make pink cool, anybody can.
Nice. Well, everybody have a great week. Enjoy the match on Thursday night. Greg, enjoy the bananas.
Oh, Savannah Bananas are here in Indianapolis on Thursday and Friday. I'm going Thursday.
Enjoy the bananas. I'm jealous. I'm sure Dave is too because we do enjoy some baseball. And
I do have Savannah Bananas and gear.
Okay.
Nice.
I have a enjoy the banana ball monkey shirt.
And I hope everybody has a great week. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us on the Tavern tonight, and don't forget to tip your bartenders.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace.